اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأجساد وشفائها ونور الأبصار وجلائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم.
الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ونزلنا عليك الكتاب تبيانا لكل شيء وهدى ورحمة وبشرى للمسلمين. صدق الله العظيم. We begin with Allah's blessed name. We praise Him and we glorify Him as He ought to be praised and glorified. And we pray for peace and for blessings on all His noble messengers, and in particular on the last of them all, the blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Respected Imam, brothers and sisters here in Masjid India, in Kuala Lumpur, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is something very strange indeed as we address you tonight on the topic of the future of Islam in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Kashmir. Not the future of Muslims, Pakistanis, not the future of Bangladeshis, the future of Islam in this region of the world. At a time when very strange things are happening in the world, very ominous things, dangerous things are happening in the world. It is clear for those who have been studying what's happening in the world that we are now located at a very, very dangerous moment in history. That in the same way you had the First World War 100 years ago, and then you had the Second World War about 70 years ago, that we are now located at that moment in time when the world war of world wars is about to take place, about which Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam had prophesied. But he didn't call it world war. But the politicians in Pakistan and the politicians in Bangladesh and the politicians in India don't study this subject. Politicians don't study this subject. He didn't call it world wars. What did he call it? Nabi Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam spoke about the malhama. The malhama, the great war. So First World War and Second World War were only preparation for what is now about to occur. And it is going to impact on the whole world. But it is going to impact very significantly on India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Israel is likely to launch those wars perhaps within the next few months. It could be one of 4 targets. And you know it already. It could be Pakistan, and the Pakistanis know it. That's why the Israeli Mossad and the CIA combined to launch the 9/11 terrorist attack on America. Why? Because they wanted to get an opening into Afghanistan, so they could send a few 100,000 troops into Afghanistan, so they can use Afghanistan as the base to destabilize Pakistan. The only people who don't understand that are the politicians. Everybody else understands that. Because if a politician were to say, Israeli Mossad did 9/11, that's it, he's finished as a politician. The Zionists are not going to support him, they're going to finish with him. So the politicians know where they get their roti from. And so they'll know what to say and what not to say. And so an attack on Pakistan was prepared since 9/11, 10 years now. And the attack on Pakistan is meant to destroy Pakistan's nuclear plants and nuclear weapons. Why? Because Israel wants to rule the world. Anyone who has studied the Quran and Hadith properly would know that, because they study the subject of Dajjal. You have read my book, Jerusalem in the Quran, have you not? We have it in English, we have it in Bahasa, and I have news for you. We have a very young Imam sitting in front of me here, and he's almost finished translating it into Tamil. May Allah bless the Imam. So you're going to get Jerusalem in the Quran soon in Tamil. Israel wants to rule the world, so that a man can stand up in Jerusalem tomorrow, meaning about 20 years from now, and declare, I am the Messiah, Al-Masih. But we know that the Messiah or the Masih is Jesus, Nabi Isa alayhi salam. So who would he be? He would be Dajjal. In order for him to declare, I am the Messiah, he has to first make Israel the ruling state in the world. And then he can rule the world and say, I am the Messiah. That you understand already. But in order for Israel to rule the world, Israel has to wage great wars. And that's the malhama that's coming. But Israel cannot wage great wars if Muslims have a weapon with which they can significantly threaten Israel. And so no Muslim country must have nuclear weapons. That's the new religion of Israel. That's the new religion of Zionists. That Muslims must not have any weapon with which they can threaten Israel. But Pakistan has that, thanks to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who did many bad things, but this was a good thing that he did. Thanks to Ziaul Haq Marhum, who did some bad things, but alhamdulillah he died as a mu'min and shaheed. And others as well, who not only brought Pakistan into the nuclear club, but kept Pakistan there. In order for an attack to be launched on Pakistan, to destroy Pakistan's nuclear plants and nuclear weapons, you will also have to break up Pakistan, so that Pakistan can never revive itself. Because the Pakistanis are going to be very angry. Who is going to do that job? To break up Pakistan? You don't need a PhD to answer that question, do you? Israel's most strategic ally in the world today, after the United States, is India. India used to be secular India under the Indian National Congress. But now India has become Hindu India. Not the Hindu India of Gandhi, a different kind of Hindu India. And this Hindu India is joined with Israel in a strategic alliance. And so India is going to play a significant role in that effort to denuclearize Pakistan and to destroy and break up Pakistan into bits and pieces. I believe the Indian Muslims already know that. They know that. And so that is one of the possible wars that's coming. The second, an attack on Iran. You don't have to tell me that Iran is Shia and we are Sunni. I know that. But I don't subscribe to the view that the Shia are kuffar. If that's your view, that's your view. It's not mine. And when they attack Iran, it will not be only for the possible threat of nuclear weapons in Iran. No. They have another target. And that is to remove this government. It's called regime change. Because this government in Iran is a thorn in their sides. It is not willing to bow and bend before Israel. No. Like Libya under Gaddafi, Libya did not bow its knee to Israel. And if you do not bow your knee to Israel, we can send some foolish mujahideen against you. Some fools who call themselves mujahideen. They're fools. And I have said to them, you are fools. You're not mujahideen, you're fools. Because the Quran has prohibited you from entering into an alliance with a Jewish-Christian alliance, which are the Zionists. And if you do that, وَمَن يَتَوَلَّهُ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ, says Allah. You lost your Islam. And so because Libya did not bow to Israel, that's why they attacked Libya. And because Iran is not prepared to bow to Israel, that's why they will attack Iran. And the purpose of the attack on Iran is to try to bring about a regime change so that a new government will come to Iran like the one you have in, what is it called now? The kingdom, the American kingdom of Saudi Arabia? The shameless American kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which has entered into an alliance with the Zionists and has now taken Saudi Arabia to become a strategic ally of Israel. Shame on you. So that's what they do. They want to do with Iran, so that you can get rid of this government in Iran and bring another one which will become an ally of Israel. And that is when the hadith will be fulfilled. You know it? That 70,000 Jews from Isfahan will follow Dajjal. Not this government in Iran. The third possible battleground can be Syria. Because they not only want to bring about regime change in Syria, as in Libya, to get a new government that would be friendly to Israel. They want to do more than that. Israel is an ally of Russia. And if you have read my book on Gog and Magog, you will know that Russia and its allies are Magog. And the Anglo-American NATO alliance is Gog. And that Gog-Magog war is coming. It's going to be nuclear war. Very few people will be left on the earth when that war is over. Within maybe 20 years from today, you will have only a fraction of the people now on the earth still alive. Islamic scholarship can say that, because we study the Quran and we study Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And Russia has a naval base in Syria, the only naval base in the Mediterranean. So if you could bring about regime change in Syria, you will deal Russia a deadly blow. You will also deal a blow to China. And so we have three possible battlegrounds already. One, Pakistan. Two, Iran. Three, Syria. And four, the fourth battleground is possibly Egypt. Because Israel wants part of Egypt's territory because of something in the Torah. The Torah says that the Holy Land extends from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. From the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Meaning that part of Egypt, from the river Nile to the Red Sea, belongs to Israel. And so within the next few months, we expect that these wars are going to begin. And Islamic scholarship should be ready. If India is going to play a strategic role in the attack on Pakistan and in the effort to denuclearize Pakistan and to break it up into bits and pieces, how should Islamic scholarship respond? That's the critical moment in which we are now located. Tomorrow night we'll see how it's not only a military threat, but also a political and economic threat. The collapse of the monetary system, paper money disappearing, only electronic money taking over, and you're going to be imprisoned in that monetary system of electronic money. And so we want to now turn in seeking a response and looking to the future for Islam in this subcontinent. We now want to turn back into history to identify a great catastrophe, a debacle, a mistake that was made. And when we recognize and understand that big mistake which was made when the partition took place, when Britain was decolonizing and the Republic of Pakistan came into being, and then eventually the Republic of Bangladesh came into being, we'll be in a better position, particularly for the Muslims of India, to understand the way forward. And now briefly, because we don't have the whole night, Islam gave to the world a political system. But it did not come for the first time with Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, no. It came for the first time with Nabi Dawood alayhi salam and Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, the holy state of Israel, in the Holy Land. And that holy state of Israel recognized Allah as Al-Malik, the sovereign. Recognized Allah's authority as supreme, Al-Akbar. Recognized Allah's law as the highest law, Al-Hakam. India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, or South Asia, had the rule of the Mughals, like Turkey and Anatolia and the Ottoman Empire had the rule of the Ottomans. And these were monarchies, but they were still using Islam. And so the shell was there of Khilafah, recognizing Allah as sovereign. And they enforced Sharia until Britain emerged and British armies conquered, together with French and German, and they colonized the world of Islam. And so Muslim India was now under British rule. For how long? Maybe 150, 200 years or more. Did this happen by accident? No. This was Dajjal's work. Oh yes. Because Dajjal wanted to bring about change. He wanted to cause this entire Muslim community to be imprisoned in a new political system that he had devised. And so, when the time came for Britain to withdraw, it was not by accident. No. Britain wanted to withdraw, but on the condition that what is left behind will now be carbon copies of the European political system. Oh yes. And so you may say Pakistan ka matlab kya? La ilaha illallah. But I want to know, why is Dajjal hiding behind that mango tree and laughing his head off? He is so happy. Why? Don't you understand, you dum-dum? You have abandoned Darul Islam. You have abandoned Khilafah. And you have embraced the modern state which was created in Europe, which declares that Allah is no longer Al-Malik. The state is now Al-Malik. That is shirk. Allah is no longer Al-Akbar. The state is now Al-Akbar. That is shirk. Allah is no longer Al-Hakam, the lawgiver. The state now makes the law. That is shirk. Why? Why? Why did Dr. Muhammad Iqbal not understand that? Why? Why? Why did Muhammad Ali Jinnah not understand that? I have a book outside. Do please read it. It's small. Iqbal and Pakistan's Moment of Truth. Dr. Iqbal is a great scholar, and I have the greatest respect for him. And when I offer a critical comment about Dr. Iqbal, It does not diminish his stature in my eyes. He still remains a great, great scholar. But the blame lies most of all on the shoulders of Dr. Iqbal for not recognizing that the modern political system and model of a state, which was coming from Europe and which Mustafa Kemal embraced in 1922, to replace the Khilafah with the secular state of Turkey, and which he, Iqbal, endorsed, and which he put into his book, The Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam. He said that the modern parliament of the Republican state is an adequate substitute and replacement for the Khilafah. What? Did Iqbal say that? But that's nonsense. That the modern parliament of the secular state can be an adequate replacement for the Khilafah? That's nonsense. But because Iqbal had the stature that Iqbal had, Muslim religious thought in the whole subcontinent, illa masha'Allah, went along with the bandwagon to create a modern secular state called Pakistan. You can put on a pagri on the head of Pakistan. You can make Pakistan grow its beard. And you can put Pakistan in Sunnah clothes, it's still a secular state, you dum-dum. It is still a state created on the same foundations as all the other secular states in the world, regardless of what you put in the constitution, because hypocritically nobody bothers about it. And so when Pakistan came into being, Muslim India said goodbye. Muslim India said goodbye to Islamic political theory. They said goodbye to Darul Islam. They said goodbye to Khilafah. And then a new, very strange creature came into being. Never saw him before. First time in my life I'm seeing him. Something called Muslim nationalism. Huh? Never heard of it before. You know, you have German nationalism, huh? You have British nationalism, you have Russian nationalism, Qawmiya. But you don't want to use the word Pakistani nationalism. So you say we are creating this new state on the basis of something called Muslim nationalism. What rubbish! Never heard more rubbish than this. Nationalism is Qawmiya. Did they never read the Quran, those who talk about Muslim nationalism, which was a stepping stone to Pakistani nationalism, and then to Bangladeshi nationalism, Bangla nationalism, and then to Indian nationalism? بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس, O mankind, إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى, we created you from a single male and a single female. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلًا, and then we caused you to emerge as nations and tribes. Yes, Allah recognizes in the Quran the existence of nations and tribes. But then He goes on to say, لِتَعَارَفُوا, that your recognition of your diversity as nations and tribes should be a source and it should function positively, something by which you can identify yourselves, but not that qawmiyah should cause one person to consider himself superior to another. That's a disease. Allah goes on to say, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. So yes, we want you to preserve your tribal identity. We want you to preserve your identity as a nation, but not to use that as the foundation for a political system. That's wrong, because that is superiority and inferiority. And so nationalism as a political system is not a part of Islam. And that's what they did. They created Muslim nationalism. And so when Pakistan came into being, guess what happened? When Pakistan came into being, they got Punjabi nationalism on their backs. And then they got Balochi nationalism on their backs. And then they got Sindhi nationalism on their backs. And then they got Pashtun nationalism on their backs. And the people who migrated from India to Pakistan, then they got Muhajir nationalism on their backs. So Pakistan broke up into so many different nationalisms. And then you had the rivalry between nationalism on this side and Bangla nationalism on that side, leading to the birth of Bangladesh. And so, if there is a future for Islam in that part of the world, it will be a future only for those, not for the part-time Muslims, and most certainly not for the politicians. If there is a future for Islam in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Kashmir, it will be a future only for those who can make tawbah and step away from the modern secular state and step away from its shirk and its nationalism and return to the struggle for khilafah and return to the struggle for Darul Islam. That is the debacle that occurred about 60, 70 years ago when Pakistan came into being and then Bangladesh came into being. If we are to step away from that debacle and return to Khilafah, the struggle to restore Khilafah, it will make the heart so happy to know that we don't have long to wait. My guess is probably only another 20 or 25 years. And Khilafah is coming back with Imam al-Mahdi. We don't have long to wait. Tell the politicians that for me. We don't have long to wait for Khilafah to come back. And when Darul Islam comes back, Mr. Politician, are you listening? When Darul Islam comes back, do you need a visa as a Muslim to go Pakistan? Would you need a visa to go Bangladesh? Nonsense. Not in Darul Islam. That is a system that has come from Europe. When you have Darul Islam, every Muslim has the right to enter. All that you have is La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, and you could enter that territory. That's what's coming. But if we are to win that tomorrow, not only must we step away from Qawmiyah. You know those people say, I live for Pakistan. I'll die for Pakistan. I live for Bangladesh. I'll die for Bangladesh. Invite them to live for Allah. Invite them to die for Allah. This is Islam. That is not. There is another thing that they'll have to do. if there is to be a future. Before we come to the actual wars that are coming and how to respond, one more thing. Those who are to struggle for the future of Islam in that part of the world have to bring the believers together as a united body. You have to have a jama'ah in which the Sufi and the Salafi can come together as brothers. Is it possible? You have to have a jama'ah in which the Brelvi and the Deobandi can come together as brothers. Is it possible? Those who say not possible, please don't come back to my lectures. Please don't come back to my lectures. I can't help you in anything. Go to somebody else. We say it is the function of the Quran and the Sunnah to unite the believers. If the Quran and the Sunnah cannot unite you, you got something with Dajjal. Maybe you got Dajjal in your pocket. Go take Dajjal out of your pocket. And so this is called sectarianism. In Urdu it's called firqabandi. Sectarianism. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا, says Allah. It's a command. Hold on, all of you, hold on to the rope of Allah all together. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and do not be disunited. If you disobey Allah, what will Allah do with you? Have you no fear in your heart of what Allah will do with you? When He has commanded you, hold on to the rope of Allah all together and do not be disunited. Where we want to do it. If you want to keep on holding on to your firqa bandi, then go your way. We can't do nothing for you. But if we are to bring all together as a united body, then we have to stop identifying ourselves as this and that and the other. My teacher, I know the young people will listen to me. I know these words will reach your heart, the young people. My teacher was a great scholar, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah. He used to say, I am not Deobandi, and I am not Brelvi, and I am not Ahle Hadith, and I am not Wahhabi. I am Muslim. These words, I believe, will penetrate the hearts of the young ones. And so, you no longer identify yourself as belonging to any sectarian movement. No, sir, I do not belong to any of them. I'm a Muslim. Number one. Number two, we have to try to bring the believers together in one place. For example, a masjid, for unity. If we are to unite the Sufi and the Salafi, this is my theory, you must let me know what is yours. I say that in the house of Allah, we will not permit anything in the house of Allah, any religious practice in the house of Allah, unless it is firmly founded on the Quran and the Sunnah. You got a problem with that? If I have a religious practice which I perform individually by myself. That's my business, that's not yours. But when I come collectively, that's different. And if it is not in the Quran and Sunnah, that creates a problem. Like celebrating Miladun Nabi, the birth anniversary of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Celebrating the birth anniversary is not like drinking whiskey, is it? Celebrating the birth anniversary of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, is it like drinking whiskey? No. It's a pious activity. There's nothing sinful about it. No. But it is not based on the Quran, and it is not based on the Sunnah. So if you insist on bringing it into the masjid, it will create fitna. Fitna. So in order to achieve the unity that we want amongst Muslims in India, Pakistan, Kashmir, Bangladesh, it doesn't matter what passport you hold. I'm only concerned that you're a Muslim. We have to take religious practices which are not based on the Quran and Sunnah out of the masjid for the sake of unity. Do not use the person of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam to divide. Use him to unite. So you can celebrate the birth anniversary of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in private. That's okay. It will not create fitna. Don't bring it in the public, that's all. And so with this formula, we will be able to resolve the problem of sectarianism, which is a disease, like a cancer. This fella, because he is Barelvi, will not perform his salat behind that imam. Tabule. And that one will not perform his salat behind this imam. And this one saying those are kuffar, and that one saying these are kuffar, and these are mushrikun. Looks like a pilau to me. A biryani going on here. You're not going to achieve unity this way. And so these words are going to reach, I know, will reach Pakistan. This lecture will reach Bangladesh, it will reach India, it will reach Kashmir, inshallah. And these words are meant particularly to the young. To the young. Do not bring into the masjid, and do not bring into the public life any religious practice which is not based on the Quran and the universally accepted Sunnah. And in this way, the Quran and the Sunnah can unite us all. If you want to do something by yourself individually, you can do it in the masjid, privately. And if you want to have something privately, you can do it in your home, privately. Now then, now that we have dealt with number one, that catastrophe of abandonment of the Khilafah, abandonment of Darul Islam, an embrace of the modern secular state which came from Europe. Thanks to Dr. Iqbal, may Allah forgive him. He is the architect. Because of him, so many others were misled. We now recognize that we have to distance ourselves from that catastrophe. And the heart of the believer must return. Turn away from the secular state and turn back to Khilafah and turn back to Darul Islam. Secondly, we have to denounce and separate ourselves from nationalism. It matters not to me whether it's Malay nationalism or whether it's Punjabi nationalism. It's just as bad. It's just as bad. إنما المؤمنون إخوة. We are all brothers. None is superior to the other based on race or tribe or based on color and size. And then we turn to sectarianism. And we said this also is a cancer. Now what do we do? What do we do? Israel is going to strike. Probably within the next few months. And India is Israel's most strategic ally in the world after United States. This poses a serious predicament for Indian Muslims. And we have Indian Muslims sitting in the gathering here. And because the attack on Pakistan is pre-planned, we know it's coming. And the plan is to create an independent Balochistan, which will be another Libya, a Zionist state. And take part of Sarhad and put it into Afghanistan to make a greater Afghanistan, Bakhtunistan. And take that part of Pakistan which is called Azad Kashmir and make sure it goes back to India. And take part of Punjab and part of Sindh and absorb it into India. And maybe even create Karachi as a city-state. What remains of Pakistan would be bits and pieces that can easily be controlled by India and will now exist under Indian hegemony, political and economic and even cultural. Since we know that this is coming, what do we do? Well, the first thing I would do, if I'm in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, is to get out of the city. Because the city is going to have anarchy. Supplies of food and water are going to be disrupted. Electricity supplies are going to be disrupted. And this is not like the homogeneous city of Sarajevo under attack for 3 years. Siege. No. Karachi is the most vulnerable of all. If Karachi's water supply is interrupted, and India can do it. If Karachi's food supply is interrupted, and India can do it. You're going to have riots on the streets of Karachi. How can't you understand that? All the major cities are going to have riots. And the enemy wants to provoke that. People are going to be living like dog eat dog. They're going to forget religion. They're going to live like animals. When you can't get water, you can't get food. So my advice, and I hope that my words can reach you before it's too late. My advice is to get out of the cities before it's too late. And try to find residence in the remote countryside in order that you can survive for the battles that lie ahead. Go to the remote countryside where you can get water and food, and you'll have more security. And do not live in large communities, live in small communities. I call this a Muslim village. And in order for you to win Allah's kindness and Allah's grace and Allah's protection and Allah's mercy, wherever you go to the remote countryside, you must come together to live in accordance with Allah's law and Allah's guidance. So this will be miniature khilafah. Maybe 50, 100 families will be living as a miniature khilafah. And if you have these communities scattered all over the remote countryside, 100,000 of them, Dajjal won't be able to stomach his food. Dajjal will have indigestion. Because Dajjal wants you in the city. That's where he can easily attack you and destroy you. And destroy your children. So as you move out into the countryside, you will be able to protect yourselves. And you can survive the storm. But while this way forward fits the bill for Pakistan and Bangladesh, out of Dhaka. Dhaka is an unlivable city. Dhaka will have riots even before Karachi. Is this the advice for the Muslims of India, who are going to face the brunt of an Indian government, a marauding Hindu Indian government that is waging war on Israel's behalf, and would therefore want to behave with Indian Muslims the way the United States government will behave with Muslims living in the United States? That's why they're building concentration camps in the United States. Do you know about that? They're building concentration camps in the United States. And so Indian Muslims have a terrible predicament. And I don't know whether I have enough of advice for them. The first thing I have to say is that this business about moving out of the cities into the remote countryside, once Israel launches her attacks, and making sure that you have food and water, this is not enough for Indian Muslims. No. This can work for Pakistan. It can work for Bangladesh. But I don't think it'll work for India. So then what should Indian Muslims do? I believe that Indian Muslims have to pay primary importance to protecting themselves as a community and not as individuals. And so Indian Muslims have to come together in large numbers. Numbers which are large enough that if anyone comes to attack you, he can't come with 20 men. No. He has to come with 20,000 men to attack you. I believe Indian Muslims should get out of the big cities, yes. Because the big cities are not only going to be subject to riots, but Dajjal is going to wage biological warfare. Long time it used to be called plague. Now it's called epidemics. And the last place in the world that you want to be when biological warfare starts is in a city. Because you're going to be wiped out. Wiped out. And so I believe that Indian Muslims should try to find a way out of the big cities. Out of the big cities. But when you go to the countryside, you must still maintain a size big enough that if they were to come to attack you, to try to terrorize and to murder people, as they've done so many times in the past, you can't come with 10 or 20 or 200 people. You're going to have to come with an army of about 20,000 or more. And at that time it's going to be an armed conflict. And there are going to be many who will become shuhada. We'll now stop inshallah for Salatul Isha. And then I have a little winding up to do, and then you have your question and answers inshallah. Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiruh. I want to now turn to a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam connected with India. The word India does not occur in the hadith. In the hadith it is the word Hind. Hind. And Ghazwa would be wars fought by the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. But because this is a war which will take place at the time of the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, perhaps for that reason it is known as Ghazwa. Allah knows best. Ghazwatul Hind. That there are hadiths of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and I am not in a position to assess their strength and authenticity, that there will be an end time, meaning Akhiru Zaman, conquest of India, or conquest of Hind, not India. But there is also an end time conquest of Constantinople. Constantinople. This one is a very well-established hadith, very strong, that the Prophet said sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam that Umranu Baytul Maqdis, at that time when Baytul Maqdis or Jerusalem is flourishing like it is today under the Yahud, under the Zionists, it is re-center stage today. At that time would be Kharabu Yathrib. Yathrib or Madinatul Nabi would be in a state of desolation, playing absolutely no role on the stage of the world, not even in Islamic affairs. That's Medina today. And before I forget, I got a booklet from the printery only 2 days ago. It's only about 35 pages long, very small, easily to be read. And it is entitled Medina Returns to Center Stage in Akhiru Zaman. And that booklet is outside in English and in Bahasa. So do please get a copy. The time of the flourishing state of Jerusalem would be the time when Medina would be in desolation. The time when Medina will be in desolation will be the time when the Malhama will come. The big war is coming, where most people will die. The time of the Malhama will be the time of the Fathul Constantinia. That Constantinople will be conquered at that time in Akhiru Zaman. So the conquest of Constantinople 600 years ago obviously could not be what the Prophet is talking about. And the conquest of Constantinople will be the time of the Khuruj of Dajjal. Khuruj of Dajjal. Dajjal's release is one thing, Dajjal's Khuruj is another. He was released in the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He is the mastermind of the modern political system which has paralyzed the world of Islam, imprisoned the world of Islam. He is the mastermind of the modern economy and the modern monetary system with this paper money. He is the mastermind. But you cannot see him as this time. He is not in our world of space and time. But his khuruj, when he comes out, you will now see him as a human being. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, you will see him as a Jew, as a young man, powerfully built with curly hair, meaning curls at the side, like the Orthodox Jews. So, we have not only the conquest of Hind, but the conquest of Constantinople. Now, when Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns, he's coming back as Hakim, to rule. So I asked last night, would he have to submit to the authority of the Security Council of the United Nations? Huh? Tell me? Huh? Obviously not. Tell them that in Washington for me. When he comes back to rule the world. which means he has to rule over the Zionists, which means he has to rule over India. India will have to submit. India will have to submit. And therefore, whether you have the ahadith or not about Ghazwatul Hind, it is clear to me that there will have to be an armed conquest of India in order to ensure that India submits to Nabi Isa alayhi salam. Who is going to be in that army? It will have to be mujahideen. I don't think the standing armies of the modern secular states are going to do that. And what kind of warfare will the mujahideen be waging when there's all of this oppression upon them? And the wars are going to start soon. I hope the Pakistani people are listening, because I expect the Pakistani people to take the leading role. Oh yes, in joining their brothers in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is up front. Afghanistan has waged successful war in resisting the NATO Zionists for 10 years. An embarrassment for Barack Obama. That's Afghanistan. And I'm expecting second in line to be Pakistan. This is why I'm asking the young Pakistani men, get out of the cities. Get out of the cities. Move to the countryside. Secure your water and your food. Secure your families. Because you are going to be on the front line. And it's not going to be conventional warfare. I think it's going to be about 20 years of guerrilla warfare that's coming up, Afghanistan style. And I hope these words of mine reach the young Pakistani men, and the young men of India, and the young men of Bangladesh. There are others who are not going to be part of this struggle. Who are they? They are those who disregard what I have said tonight. We have to go and vote. We have to vote for this one or that one or that one. They are stuck into that electoral political system based on shirk. You can speak to them, but it's like water falling on the back of the duck. They won't listen to you. Summun bukmun umyun fahum la yarji'un. These people who, regardless of what you say, they're still going and vote for this party or that party, vote for this man or that man. I don't have any words for you. I don't know what to do with you. You're not going to be part of the struggle for the future of Islam. But then there are second people. No matter what you say to them and tell them riba is haram, if you say to them 100,000 times that Allah's Messenger has cursed all four, and he said that they are all equally guilty, the one who lends his money on interest, when he puts his money in a fixed deposit. You know what's a fixed deposit? You heard about it? It's a money lender. Or when you borrow money on interest, to buy the house, of course, in Damansara Heights, to buy the car, of course, to do business. Did you know that when you borrowed money on interest, that Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam cursed you, lanat kiya? Do you know that? Does it touch your heart? Does your heart shake? No. No, they will still go and borrow money on interest. It doesn't matter to them. I don't have any words for them. They have to look for guidance elsewhere. I don't have any guidance for them. And then there are others, largely ignorant. They don't know. Because the ulama have failed. They have not taught the subject. We say to them that this money that we are using has come from Dajjal. And they look at you as though you come from Mars or Venus. This paper money has come from Dajjal. This paper money is meant to take you into slavery. They can't understand that. The ulama have not studied the subject. But the ulama want to get Dow Jones dollars. Oh yes. Get plenty bucks, become advisors for Islamic banks and this and that and the other. But who cares about dinar and dirham? Huh? Which Islamic bank in the world has ever raised even a little finger to bring back sunnah money? The money which is in the Quran, the money which is in the Sunnah. Dinar and dirham. None. So if you do not care to study the subject, you don't care about what we are saying, that this paper money and the electronic money which is coming to replace it is bogus and fraudulent and haram, and it is a ticket to slavery, then what can I do for you? I can't offer any guidance to you. You can't be part of the armed resistance to oppression for the next 20 years in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India, as it is today in Afghanistan. Did the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam not say, is the hadith not in Sahih Bukhari? I won't take much more time. Perhaps the Pakistani people never read the hadith at the time of Fatima Jinnah, at the time of Benazir Bhutto, at the time of, I don't know the names of the sisters in Bangladesh, Khalida and Sheikh Mujib's daughter. He said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, a people who choose a woman to rule over them can never be successful. And in Pakistan, the opposition to Ayub Khan chose Fatima Jinnah. Ulama chose Fatima Jinnah, gave fatwa, called the fatwa of expediency. And then the same thing happened with Benazir Bhutto. And the same thing is happening in Bangladesh. But those who are going to struggle for a future of Islam, they are not a people who will choose a woman to rule over them.